Alright, here we go. Last Twilight movie, Breaking Dawn Part 2. What did I think? Remember what I said the first part of Breaking Dawn Part 1, where I felt like two movies? It carried on here. I thought Breaking Dawn Part 2 felt like two separate movies again. I don't know, Bill Conn's direction, it just, for one thing, same thing with Part 1. Scenes that should have been very, very, very important to the saga were just glanced over. Like, for example, in the first one is Bella and Edward's wedding, it was over like that. And in this movie, it's like when Bella wakes up after she's turned into a vampire. Like, Bella's been wanting to become a vampire since day one. And so she's finally a vampire, and we're like, oh, okay, she's a vampire, we'll deal with life as normal. But, so it bugged me a little, but for the most part, I thought this movie wasn't the best Twilight movie. I thought that was Eclipse. But this one was watchable. It was wonderful. It was not wonderfully. It was easily watchable, which is more than I can say for a couple other Twilight movies. And what else is there? I'm glad to say that Kristen Stewart's character development for Bella has carried on to this film, and that she's actually a little bit more likable in this film, which is, I'm very happy to say, very happy to report. Oh yeah, other problems I have with this movie. Renesmee barely had anything to do. Like, again, this is a big deal. She's pretty much the fulcrum of the plot in this movie, and she only had like 2 lines. But I suppose that's forgivable. But for one thing, the cast for this movie is way too big. There are so many characters in this movie. Not a lot of them got a lot to do. Even characters that were in other movies that didn't get a lot to do in this one. Like, for example, I'm obviously Team Leah. So when I saw Leah was in this movie, she had like one scene where she wasn't a wolf. And you didn't even see her face. She didn't even have a line. And Seth also had the same deal. Like, they were given absurdly high billing in this movie. And, cause like with the opening credits, it was like had the girl played Renesmee, then Julia Jones and Boo Stewart who plays Leah and Seth respectively. And I was like, wow, they got big billing. They must be in this movie quite a bit. Not really. And I'm sure you'll probably all want to hear about what I thought of this big twist ending. But this is one of those movies where if you're going to talk about the ending, you kind of can't without spoiling it. And I never thought I'd say that about Twilight movies. Twilight's been very paid by numbers up until now. So, I'm going to wrap up my review for the people who haven't seen the movie yet. And then I'm going to talk spoilers for the ending. Because I'm sure a lot of people who have seen the movie would like to know what I thought. So, the other thing I wanted to mention about the movie before I get into spoilers is that the music in this movie felt very out of place. It was just ridiculous. The music was just too much. And I know a fan of the Twilight soundtracks. I actually liked the last 2 soundtracks for Breaking Dawn Parts 1 and 2. They were actually really good. But in the context of the movie, they had no purpose. It's like they definitely made a soundtrack first and they made a movie second. It's like they made the soundtrack and they had got us great songs, great bands, or yada yada yada. And they said, ooh, we don't have enough to do with them. We don't have a way to put these songs in the movie. Okay, we'll just shoehorn them in that one scene that shouldn't have music over it. And Bob's Uncle. And really went into effect here. There were scenes that should not have had music that just were, they played the song as loud as they could. It was like a blatant soundtrack commercial. But, so final score for the movie, I give it a 7 out of 10. And most of it is because of this really good ending, which I will get to. But for those of you who haven't seen the movie, I will say it's effective. It's very effective. Some people men probably will not get a kick out of it because it'll probably kind of mess with you a little bit. But aside from that, I thought the movie was decent. If I had to rank the movies, I'd go Eclipse, Breaking Dawn Part 2, Twilight, Breaking Dawn Part 1, and way down at the center of the earth is New Moon. So on the whole saga, it was mediocre at best. It had one or two saving graces, one or two interesting moments, but... And I'm not a fan of this. I'm indifferent. It's got things to like and things to hate. I'm in the nice middle ground. So that's all I can say without talking spoilers. Now I'm going to talk spoilers. So I'm going to assume everyone watching right now has seen this movie. But if you've read the book and you think you know what's going to happen, get out now. Because they changed everything. I'm sure you probably have heard about that right now. So, okay. All bets are off. It's spoiler time. I'm sure you people who have seen the movie are wondering what I thought of this ending. Because, obviously, about my certain investment in one of the characters. And, well, what do I think? Okay, first of all, once again, Dakota Fanning got the shaft. It's like they get Dakota Fanning. I think the most she ever had to do in any of these movies was in the third one. Even then, all her scenes were added into the movie and they weren't in the book. And, her death scene in this movie, to my knowledge, is the only time I've seen Dakota Fanning die in a movie, but of course she didn't really die. And, so, like, until the big carpet pull, when we thought people were actually getting killed off in this movie, I was hooked, okay? I was actually really interested. I was like, whoa, like, when they killed Carlisle, all bets were off. And it's like, everyone was expendable. Because when I heard, before the movie came out, I heard, oh, they kill people, the deaths are intense. I'm like, what deaths? I honestly thought someone was screwing with us because I have read the book and no one dies in the book. And it was one of those I'll believe it when I see it situations. But then I kind of started to think, okay, if they are going to kill someone, who would they kill? Who's expendable? Carlisle and Esme are at the top of my lists. And Carlisle kind of knew was going to die when Edward said, you know, I never thanked you for this great life you give me. I'm like, oh yeah, he's dead. He's already dead in my mind. Like, no hope of survival. But Jasper was a big one. That was when I was like, oh crap, this just got real. Like, and at first I was thinking, wow, it's really ballsy of Stephenie Meyer to killing off her characters to approve this. And then of course when the twist came out, I was like, oh, right. It's like Twilight remembered it was crap and they had to... Because I thought, if they stuck to this ending, if they actually killed off all those people, the fan backlash would have been catastrophic. Because I think that would have killed the franchise. And because before I saw the movie and I heard they were going to kill them, the problem I had was that, again, Twilight's been very, very safe, very strict rules up until now. So if they started to grow balls and actually kill people off in the last of the last, A, that's way too late for anybody to care, and B, it just makes it makes no worse than House of Night, which just killed off a lot of beloved characters willy-nilly. That being said, Leah. So here I am. Let me set the scene for you. I'm in the theater. I'm wearing this Team Leah shirt. I am watching this battle. Carlisle and Jasper at this point. They kill Seth, and Leah has to watch her little brother die. And I'm like, oh, dude, you are ruthless. Whoever did this, you're ruthless. And then when Leah bit the dust, my heart stopped beating. I swear to God, it was like the beginning of Moulin Rouge when Ewan McGregor says, "The woman I love is dead." Imagine that. Imagine having to watch one of your top favorite people, one of the characters you care most about, die. Imagine that. And that's my sorrow. So as you can imagine, when the twist came up and revealed that everyone was still alive, I was just like, oh God, yes. That's kind of a nasty, crappy move to pull, but still. Like, you should have heard all the relief in that theater. Everyone was just going, yeah, ha, ha. They're like sighs of relief, laughter. It was like, yes. My sister actually summed it up in a SAS update on her Facebook page. She said, in all caps, Twilight was trippy. Holy Lord, I had a heart attack. And I couldn't agree with that more. Like, again, it could kind of be a cheat. Because people who are invested in the saga will probably be like, dude, And like, how dare you do it? How dare you just mess with us like that? People who aren't gonna be like, oh, how dare you just give us a good action scene and then piss all away. But I thought it was effective. I thought you wouldn't see it coming. It was unique to a Twilight movie. And it actually got you invested and hooked and really interested. Like, what's gonna happen next? So I think that really helped the rating of the film. Like, the movie up until then was just okay, but then they had that really interesting and really ballsy ending. Like, so I think that's all I can say on the movie. I thought it was. I honestly can't say I've seen any really horrible movies this year. I think the lowest I've ever rated a movie that came out this year was Girls Gone Dead, and even then that was enjoyably stupid. So, and there are only 3 movies I saw this year that I thought were actually not that great. I gave them all the same rating. It was This Means War, The Watch, and ATM. I gave them all 5 out of 10. I didn't think any of them were that great, but I guess I will talk more about that. I'm probably gonna go to the end of the year. I didn't see a lot of good movies this year. Twilight was only decent, but this Twilight, that is. But good year for movies. I've still got a couple more to see, but we'll get do that at the end. I got a couple more reviews to do, but for now, Frenzy 227 is out, and Twilight is over, thank God.